So I've been really busy with a huge project that is kind of unlike anything I've ever done before. And while I'm working on that, I figured I might as well just do some kind of Halloween-y video and talk about every retro survival horror game that I own. And I want to start with one that, this particular release isn't retro, the game itself is, which is Clock Tower Rewind, the Super Famicom, well, sort of a survival horror game. It's, I don't know if it necessarily counts, but I like it, damn it, so I want to talk about it. It's fun to think about how this game takes place in Norway, and since I'm from Norway, it's like, it's kind of fun, a bunch of crazy fucked up shit happening in my neck of the woods, But I've always had a fascination with this game. I never played it more than just a little bit of messing around with the ROM hack years ago, the fan translation that was released. But this release also has some cute bonuses like a comic, the demo that you could play on kiosks back when the Super Famicom game originally released, and it has a song and some other neat little bonuses. And I also like that the manual kind of tries to pay homage to the Super Famicom and to Human Entertainment, who were the original developers of the game. And, it's always nice when a modern release has a little manual with all these little explanations and stuff. It's just fun. It just makes me happy. I know that we don't need manuals. There isn't really any reason for it. But, come on. This is great. I love this. I don't really play Switch games much. I actually have this on Steam already, but someone was selling this on a Japanese auction for dirt cheap. I'm glad to own it. It's a really creepy, weird little game. It plays like a point and click, sort of. You're often put in situations where you have a limited amount of time to respond or run away or whatever. And there are some aspects of the game that are random, and different playthroughs will give you slightly different bits of backstory or change some puzzles around. It's really neat stuff, and I just think it's a really good game. It's really spooky. There's a bunch of different endings to get. There are some bad endings, some good endings, some where you just, kind of die immediately, whatever. But it's such a good game. I don't know. There's something about it that will always hold a special place in my heart. I also just wanted to give a shout out to this game, Guts and Diner, which I know I said Guts and Diner in the video, and people to this day are still giving me shit. I'm sorry, I'm not German, Jesus. No, but I get it. It's funny. I don't know that it would necessarily count as survival horror, but it just feels sort of similar. It's sort of in the same boat of having some light puzzles, although this actually has combat. Clock Tower doesn't really have so much combat as you can kind of push back and run away. But this actually has full-blown combat. Well, full-blown, it's very simple. But it's a good game with a great atmosphere, and I like that it sort of does a bit of a twist of the damsel in distress, where you think you're going to save the princess, you see it on the cover, and then you actually play it, and you're like, oh shit, you're playing as her. It's cute. I think the music is great. I think it has a neat story. I wish it was expanded upon. I wish there was just a little bit more going on. It feels a little too light, but, it's still a good time. Also, it's a PC Engine game. I forget that not everyone's immediately going to look at this and be like, oh yes, the PC Engine. That console, TurboGrafx in the West, if you didn't know. Now we're getting on to the more sort of traditional, what you think of, and I have Silent Hill here with the amazing PAL box art. Absolutely the best cover for any region. It's creepy, it's eerie, it's haunting, it's weird, it's kind of like, it just makes you want to know more. What is this? What is happening here? This person almost looks like they're rusting away. It's so unsettling, but it's also just such a unique visual. And I think it's great, and that old, CG definitely helps it look extra creepy. But this game is such a classic. I know they're coming out with a remake, and I personally am just not really interested. I don't have the manual. This is kind of cool, I guess. Sort of an interesting, weird pattern. I actually don't know what the discs look like in the other regions, if they're cooler than this. They might be. Despite it being the first in the series, I do think it's aged pretty well, all things considered, and I really enjoy the character of Sybil. I think she's cool. And Harry's just, he's just a sweet guy who's trying to do his best. It's a good time. The atmosphere is fantastic. I don't know. I'm really glad I have this. I'm glad I played it. And also, if you're gonna play this, if you get the jar or whatever, pick up some red goo in the hospital, and you'll thank me later for that. That's a good tip. Here's the big one for me, Silent Hill 2. I have not played the remake. I've heard it's good. I've heard some people have some issues with certain tweaks of the story. I'm not that interested in playing it because it's, the original team was really just shafted by Konami, and years later, getting some other people to make a new version of it is just, I don't know, it just feels off to me. Not saying there's anything wrong with buying it, like, fucking have a good time, but just for me, if something just makes me a little bit about a game, I just don't buy it. Like, I don't know, I'm very picky, but this game is one of my all-time favorites. I think it's just so fucking fantastic. Just the whole ending monologue, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but just the way it's delivered and everything, just, it's so heart-wrenching, and just, I don't know, this game really makes you feel. It's so fucking sad and weird. All the characters have their own little things going on, and their own ways of sort of experiencing the same events, and it's something really special. And man, just this fucking presentation is crazy. I love all the shit it comes with, the whole making of and all that stuff. I mean, what a cool thing to have. This game's music, I just die for it. The characters, I just adore them. I love this game. If I'm gonna replay it, I want to try to play the fan modded version on PC. This one apparently is not supposed to actually work with my PS2 Slim, because certain Slim models will have like issues with certain games. And from everything I know, this one isn't supposed to work, but it plays just fine. I don't know what the deal is. If you've ever tried to play something on a later PS2 model and it just didn't work, it could be because of that. But Silent Hill 3 is just delightful. I love it. Again, music, fantastic. Vibes, terrifying. One of the more memorable parts for me is when you're in, I think, a hospital. I think it was a hospital. And some guy is like leaving notes wanting to like meet you, the main character, and it's so fucking creepy, and you're just like wondering if and when you're gonna see him, and just, it's so, oh my god, some of the stuff this game does, it freaks me out, but it's so well done. The first 3 Silent Hill games all go together so beautifully, I think, and having this picking up on threads from the first game, I think, is great, even though that was not the original intention. But I think they did a great job making it work, and it, feels like I can't imagine it not working that way anymore. I just think it's such a good game. Man. And I think this cover is really cool too. I forget that, all the Silent Hills have different covers in every region. I made a review on this one a while back, and I don't know if I'm super happy with the review. I think it's okay, but I didn't like it. I tried, I really wanted to, because it's the last one by most of the original team. I mean, people kind of came and went. It wasn't like one continuous entity. And it was supposed to be something different, and then they had to hard shift it into what it became, and I just don't like it. Especially not the ghost guys floating around that you have to stab into the ground with a sword if you want them to stop. I just got really annoyed. A pretty severe amount of sort of backtracking, and the whole room gimmick was fun and scary at first, and then I just kind of got tired of it. And I don't know, it just didn't grab me the same way. It's not a bad story, definitely not, but not even close to as memorable for me as the other 3. Music's still great. Growing up, I had the Nintendo DS version of Resident Evil called Deadly Silence, which my sister now has that copy, so I decided I would get the original. Obviously not the DualShock version, because that one has the kind of funky soundtrack where they mess up the timing on, especially the basement track, which is pretty infamous. But this is the original release, of course, the Platinum, which is like the greatest hits or whatever North America has. And man, I love this game so much to this day. I think it's just such a delightful experience. I really wish they didn't censor the opening cutscene. There's some really cool kind of gruesome shots. Disembodied hand being stuck to a gun and stuff. It's like some really cool shit that I wish they didn't feel the need to remove. I think this game holds up so well, it's kind of crazy. I can go back to it and have such a good time to this day. I just love it so much. And the voice acting, I mean, everyone knows, but you can't not bring it up. It's so iconic. This game slaps. I never get tired of replaying it. Jill and Barry are like what I think of when I think of the original Resident Evil. Chris and Rebecca are cool. I like them too. Jill and Barry, that's, you know, that's the wombo combo right there. And I just think it has such a nice pace to it. Really fun and inventive puzzles and great monsters, fun combat, and I'll probably replay it sometime soon. Resident Evil 2, I think, is a nice step up, all things considered. It just feels a lot bigger. There's just more going on. I probably would say I prefer it over the first game, but I love both of them, so it's kind of hard to pick. Of course, this is the game that introduced Leon and Claire, who I very much adore. Although Leon is kind of the most inconsistent character in the franchise. I feel like his personality changes drastically every time he's on screen. But Raccoon City was a great place to explore. I love the police station. The fact that it was turned from a museum or a gallery or whatever it was into a police station, and learning about how fucked up the chief was and just all the weird lore, and William and Sherry Birkin, and just man, it's so fucking great. This whole game is just, I don't know, it just takes everything the first game did and just steps it up a notch and gets crazier and bigger with it. And of course, all of these PS1 originals have really fun side content as well. These discs go so fucking hard. For Resident Evil 1, I only have the Platinum disc, and Platinum discs are usually very plain, but these, the original discs, man, come on, this is so cool. And of course, whichever one you start playing with first will slightly alter the other character's scenario. And, you know, it's very much recommended to play as both, playing as one and then playing as the other, because things are pretty different, and you'll see, you know, different phases of different events and stuff. I absolutely love this game to death. But my favorite, and the first survival horror game, and first horror game I ever saw, was Resident Evil 3. This is just burned into my brain. Everything about this game. I mean, Nemesis design, it's so cool and creepy and weird, and like, I love how this fucking guy looks. He's so metal. I don't like the remake's design, but I also just don't like the remake in general, because, you know, it removes puzzles, it's shorter than the original, it has no side content outside of, like, you know, that free reverse game that they handed with it, which, you know, shut down recently anyways. It removes the branching paths. Nemesis is less present. He also doesn't randomly appear. He's entirely scripted in all parts except for the very beginning, which is a fucking crime. I feel like it just completely misunderstands the core of this game, which is that it's meant to be very replayable. Nemesis, you never know when he's going to show up. There's a lot of random elements to it, and the branching paths that you get will alter how information is revealed to you or where certain characters will go, which means that this game is worth more than just one playthrough. And also, the remake doesn't have the wonderful clock tower area, which I love, and the park, which is also a very iconic location. But this game is my favorite out of the PS1 originals. When I saw the opening cutscene as a kid, I thought it was the scariest, coolest thing ever. I wasn't able to, or I could have played it if I wanted to, but I was too scared, so I just watched my sister and one of my friends play it. He actually had to turn his PS1 upside down to play it, which is apparently a normal thing that happens with the original models. And also the soundtracks for all of these games, they're so spectacular. I don't know, like, it's hard for me to gush enough about it. This whole experience is just like etched into my soul, and it just means so much to me. I love this game to death. It's just absolutely a banger, and I love Jill. I just think she's so fucking cool. Probably my favorite Resident Evil character. And Nemesis is so much fun to run away from. You just never know when he's gonna be there. Even having beaten the game 3 times, I think, he still will surprise you, and I just think that's awesome. And of course, Carlos is a funny goofball. I could gush about this game forever though, so I'm gonna move on. The game that was originally meant to be Resident Evil 3, Code Veronica X, of course being the slightly upgraded GameCube version that has some added cutscenes or something. Also a very stretched PNG on the back. I love this game though. I'm sure a lot of people who are not from the PAL region countries are very confused why the cover is just Claire's face. Don't ask me, I don't know. I think the Japanese and North American covers are way cooler. You know, the zombie in the eye is kind of fun, but like it's kind of goofy, whatever. But this game fucking slaps. I love it to death. The Asteroid Family is so creepy and weird. I forgot that the manual and the discs all use Claire's fucking face. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. It's very silly. The vibes of this game are spectacular. The areas you explore are so unique and just stand out in such an interesting way from the rest of the franchise. It has some really cool new enemies, and just the story I think is so delightful. I just can't get enough of this game. My favorite save room theme in the whole franchise for sure. I do kind of wish that they hid a little bit more that Chris was in the game, because he's on the back of the box here and the original cover art has him on the front. I think it'd be cooler if it was a bit more of a surprise, but whatever. Also Steve. I don't know how you can talk about this game and not talk about Steve. Oh my god, I quote that fucker all the time. He's so funny. I love that guy. He's like such a strange little creature. Maybe the best Resident Evil game of all time is the remake. I mean, this game, it's so gorgeous. Even today, it looks so phenomenal. And oh my god, it feels so good to play. And all the things that they added to it, like Lisa Trevor, how iconic is that character? I just love the Pure Terror Cubed, because, you know, this was an exclusive during the whole period where Capcom was meant to make GameCube only games for a bit, and then they, you know, moved on. Sadly, I don't have the manual for this one, but I do like the deep red that the discs are. I just think it looks really cool. And also, if you never noticed, you know, this whole pattern here is supposed to be like the GameCube logo itself. So it's like this sort of slanted cube shape or whatever. I just think that's neat. It's pretty much a perfect remake because it's super faithful, but it's also just, you know, a darker, even grittier version of the original game with beautiful graphics and improved gameplay and tweaks and additions and new areas, but without, you know, feeling like it's taking anything away. It's like a perfect survival horror experience. One of the best games in my collection for sure. I love it. I wish I could say the same about Resident Evil 0, but it's, you know, it's kinda good. I think that's the best way to put it. It looks as beautiful as the Resident Evil remake does, and it's cool to have a game that takes place before it, but the whole swapping between characters gimmick, it's sometimes fun, sometimes not. The fact that they removed the boxes for items and you have to put things down on the floor, come back and pick them up later, I don't like it. It has some cool areas to explore. I don't know if this is just me, or if this is an unpopular opinion. I feel like William Birkin's portrayal in this game is a little strange. He feels very cartoonishly evil, and that's not really the impression I got from him from Resident Evil 2. I mean, we don't really get to see him a lot, but, you know, I feel like just his love for his family on its own is enough to sort of feel like this portrayal is a little weird, you know? He feels like a very silly cartoon villain, but, you know, still, it's not a bad game. I actually think the train section is pretty awesome. After that, the game is a little tedious, a little annoying, but still pretty good. I think it's worth a try if you like these classic survival horror games and stuff. Of course, Billy Cohen, the iconic character that never shows up ever again. Rebecca is definitely more the star of the show here, and, you know, I like Rebecca, she's cool. Dino Crisis, which I considered getting for the Dreamcast, but I figured I'd get it on PS1 because, you know, the Dreamcast didn't get the sequel. But then I played the sequel, just tried it out on emulator. It's more of an action game. It has like points pop up when you kill dinosaurs. Very strange. But, you know, it wasn't like a bad game or anything, but this I think is way better. I love this cover art. This is the same cover art they use in Japan, and I just think it's so much cooler than the North American one. The font is just very cool, and like the very simple storytelling, just a foot, the lighting, and the blood on the claws, and that's all you need, you know? It sells you on the experience. It's like, oh shit, the dinosaurs are gonna kill us, we have to do something. And yeah, and Regina's a cool character. I forget the companions' names. It's been a while since I played this, but I enjoyed the characters. It wasn't like super spectacular, but it was very solid. And it has some good scares, some cool bosses, and fun location to explore. Not one of my absolute favorites, but I think it's really good. It's totally worth a try if you like survival horror. The cover art is fucking falling out. Also, look at the disc. I love the way the disc looks. Just, it's fucking eating you, man. It's cool as hell. I'm just gonna include these two now because I haven't played them yet. Or, well, so I watched a YouTuber play these games when I was a kid. Probably a bit too young to watch games like these. I bet I was like 11, but you know. Project Zero, which is Fatal Frame. In Japan, it's just called Zero. In North America, it's called Fatal Frame, which I think is the coolest title. It sounds metal as hell. I actually started playing the game on stream back when I used to do Twitch streams, and this first game freaked me out. Also, if you're wondering about the based on a true story, it's bullshit. It's not based on anything. It's just like, you know, local myths and legends around Japan. It's like the furthest you could pull that. There's no truth to this, so it's just, they're just full of shit. But I find it really amusing. It's just a freaky game. I love it. It's terrifying. Also, the disc, look at the fucking head. So I got the Xbox versions because I've heard that they're better. I don't remember in what regard. Like, they included more endings or something or other. I don't know. You take photos of ghosts, but the ghosts are like coming at you, and it's really effective. It's like really spooky combat, and it's also really satisfying. I think it's a really, really great mixture of being fun and engaging, but also scary to actually fight. Also assembled in Ireland. You don't see that often. I just think that's kind of cool. I really loved what I played of it. I need to beat it one of these days, especially because I want to get to the sequel, because that's usually the one that people say is the best. And I remember really enjoying the story of it back when I watched, you know, that YouTuber play it. And it just seems so intriguing. There's a lot of sort of, you know, occult stuff and a bunch of crazy different endings and a lot of heartfelt moments, and it seems like a good time. I do also want to pick up the third one at some point. I think I remember it being a lot more expensive though. But yeah, one of these days I'm going to actually sit down and play these. Here comes a game I wish I loved but didn't. Eternal Darkness. I heard so much good about this game before I played it, so I was very excited. I got it for like $25. The PAL copy is not very expensive, so. But when I played it, I don't know, kind of enjoyed the combat. I thought I had some really great scares and some interesting music and ambience that felt very unique. You know, and it's a very sort of ethereal experience in some ways, because there's these like ancient Lovecraftian deities kind of fighting for power. It's very interesting, and you know, and everyone knows about the scares where it messes with your TV and all that stuff, the sanity effects, which are very iconic, but they can be annoying, which sucks. I wish that when one of them would play, it would raise a flag in like the save file so that it wouldn't replay the same scare. Or at least some of them, because, you know, sometimes your sanity is low, and let's say the room you're in goes upside down. The first time, it's like, what the fuck is happening? It's just really cool. The second time, you're like, oh, this one again. And you just have to wait for like 15 seconds before you can keep playing. And there are several sanity effects like that just last way too long. And the first time you get them, they're great. But every subsequent time, there are some of the effects that I got like 3 or 4 times in my playthrough. And it's kind of like if someone just comes and takes your controller away from you and you have to like count down to 10. You know, it's a minor complaint. Also, the fact that you can kind of heal at will and you have all these spells, and you can very easily find ways to make sure you're never low on sanity or health, and so you won't even see a lot of the cool effects. And you know, there's a lot of things about it that feel clunky, especially the end. The final section of the game is very combat heavy, and you have to keep casting spells to give yourself a protective shield to walk over these like electrified ghostly areas. And the amount of enemies you have to kill and the amount of times you have to use the same spell over and over again to walk over these places and all that, I just thought it was fucking tedious, like really tedious. I kinda like it. The last 3 are all for Sega consoles, starting with Deep Fear, which I made a pretty long review on, and this game slaps, okay? It's very much trying to do what Resident Evil did, but it does a pretty good job at it. It also has even funnier voice acting than the first Resident Evil, if you can believe it. So it's worth playing just for that alone. This game did get a PAL release, but it's very expensive. So, you know, going with the Japanese one, Well, I was gonna say that made sense for me to do that, but the thing is, I didn't actually know what this was. I got it with the system, I'd never heard of it. I popped it into my Saturn, and I was just like, what the fuck? This is a Resident Evil like? That's awesome! I was so excited, and I made like a almost 30-minute video about it. And yeah, it's a great time, really fun game. Very interesting, unique little story. Very funny cutscenes, and I loved it. Also, the soundtrack is fantastic, and you have all this like cool artwork inside, and just, you know, and there was this really fun advertisement showing Segata Sanshiro, the, you know, Sega Saturn mascot, cutting up a fish. It was very weird. I'll just talk about Carrier really fast. The PAL one released like a year and a half after this North American one did. So the PAL one's super expensive, and even though I do much prefer the PAL cover art, I'm not gonna pay 5 times the price for a better cover. But yeah, this game I just reviewed, made a 17-minute video about it, and it is, you know, it wants to be like Resident Evil, and it's pretty bad, but it's kind of fun. No returns if removed or tampered with. Whatever that comes from. I'm not gonna remove it. You know, it's kind of funny to have. It's really funny. It feels kind of terrible, but I like it in a weird way. It's just kind of like a so bad it's good type of horror game. One game that's in a bit of a similar boat is Blue Stinger. Now, if you're wondering what the fuck this is, this was like a Norwegian store or something that sold games back in the day, and their mascot was Mickey Mouse in a Spider-Man suit, and it says it like TV game specialist Spider-Man, which that can't have been legal. Right? That, like, there's no way you can just call your store Spider-Man even with the hyphen and all. It's a bit of a fucked up copy. Blue Stinger features the voice cast of Sonic Adventure 2, which I think is just really fun. Also, if you didn't know, yeah, all PAL Dreamcast games have 2 slots for the games, and these things tend to break off the little like teeth that keep it in place. So some of them I placed it in the second game slot, which, you know, usually doesn't have anything on it. I don't know why they designed them like this. I like the way they look, but they're very strange. This game is really weird, really funny. It's fun to hear Dean Bristow, Eggman's original English voice actor, cursing his ass off and just saying, "God damn son of a bitch." That's fucking great. It has a crazy bombastic soundtrack that sounds like it belongs in a Steven Spielberg film. It has some really kooky characters, and I don't know, it's weird, but I really like it. It's super strange. It's kind of annoying to play. Some enemies are a bit annoying to deal with. Also, you can always buy healing items. You can kill enemies to buy more healing items and ammo. So if you just keep killing enemies, you don't really run out, which is kind of a problem with all of the Sega survival horror games in different ways. For Deep Fear, there is a ammo refueling room that gives you unlimited ammo. You can only carry so much, but every time you find an ammo room, you get infinite ammo back. And you get so many healing items, you're not likely to run out. Carrier gives you limited ammo and stuff, but you have like a stun gun that's almost as good as a handgun that you can just use for most of the game. So there isn't that much reason to worry about ammo. And in this game, you can just, you know, kill enemies to buy more shit and you don't really run out. A bit of a tricky game. It's hard to explain. It controls weird and the areas are kind of confusing, and you know, it definitely has problems, but I really like it. I haven't beaten it. I've beaten Deep Fear and Carrier, but I have not beaten Blue Stinger. I want to, because it's just that bizarre. I feel like it's sort of going to always be present in my mind, and I have the foolish hope that if I beat the game, maybe I can put it to rest. I will say though, my favorite overall probably is Resident Evil Remake. I do have Resident Evil 5, 6, and I've played 7 and 8, but oh shit, I almost forgot Resident Evil 4. I was about to wrap it up. it shows that I don't really think too much about this game, which is funny because it's the first Resident Evil I own, and it's many people's favorite, but I think of it more as an action game than survival horror. It totally counts as survival horror, though. It has everything you'd need. Don't really know how I feel about Leon being this weird action hero guy who's like very inappropriately hitting on Hunnigan all the time, and it just feels really like that era of machismo I just think has aged a little weirdly. It has some funny moments and some creepy moments, but I don't know. I think of it more as an action game. It's a good game. It's a classic. I don't know. Despite it being the first Resident Evil I actually played, whereas, 3 was the first I saw, it for some reason doesn't stick out that much in my memory. I don't know, I just don't love this game like a lot of other people do. I think it's because I just like the atmosphere and ambience of the other games, and the fact that they're taking themselves a bit more seriously while this game is kind of having more fun with itself and being a lot more cheesy, and that's totally fine. That's not like a negative. It's just my personal sort of tastes. But my favorite survival horror game of them all probably has to be Resident Evil Remake. I just think it's nearly perfect. I don't know. It's just so beautiful and haunting and creepy and fun, and yeah, that's all I got for you this time. Thanks for watching.